Yes, hello everyone and welcome to all our West Australian football fans to the final edition of Around the WAFL, the official podcast of the WAFL for season 2023, a year that belonged to the Sharks. Congratulations to President Mark Stewart, Coach Bill Monahan, Captain Matty Jupp and all the players and staff at the East Freo Football Club, their first premiership in 25 years. We'll review the grand final and we'll be joined by the aforementioned captain, coach and also the Simpson Medalist, Milan Murdoch. Paul Persick with you in the BackChat studios alongside Mark Foreman. Can you believe how quick the season has gone by?
Oh, fins up, Paul. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, no, what a game. Well, actually, to be honest, not what a game. They were quite clinical in the end, East Freo. But what a win, we should say, because that's huge for the club. And I loved seeing the serious amount of fins up in the crowd on Sunday.
There's a lot of blue and white. There was a lot of blue and white because it meant so much to the club and its fans, to finally see some success after 25 years, because they were at the low ebb just some 4 or 5 years ago, and then to see what they've done in the last 3 years to climb up the ladder and finally get that premiership over a Peel Thunder side that were strong on paper, was a huge statement to make that the Sharks, they're back as a WAFL power. Yeah,
for sure. And, we'll explore that with, the three blokes that we're going to speak to this morning, which I'm really excited for because, particularly Matty Jupp has been there through those really hard times, and they're the best stories about footy. It's not... the success on the day is what a lot of people see, but, that grind behind the scenes has been relentless for guys like Matty Jupp and obviously Bill Monahan has come in and really turned the club around. So it's so exciting. And, congratulations to East Freo. They were a real popular winner.
Yeah, they certainly were among the 27,000 over at Optus Stadium. What a game it certainly was. We'll review the game in detail later on in the show. We'll also have a verdict of the 10 WAFL clubs throughout the season. This is Around the WAFL. Paul Persick and Mark Foreman. Now, the honour of Premiership captain is obviously one of the biggest in football at any level. And for this man, it has been a long time coming. From East Freo, he wears the number 8 and he's got the medal around his neck to prove that honour is certainly a big one. Matty Jupp, he joins us on the line today. Juppy, welcome along and a huge congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Still on cloud 9.
I can imagine, especially after that huge win on Sunday over Peel Thunder and amongst the Sharks faithful. What was those first emotions like when the final siren sounded and the premiership drought had finally been broken?
Yeah, I think we just sort of said over the last couple of days, we were so lucky we were afforded maybe 5 or 10 minutes to soak it all in, knowing the result was going to go our way. And look, when the siren went, it was the first emotion was just pure relief. And then the joy started flooding in, and it was just an overwhelming feeling of joy for the rest of the night. And 2 or 3 days later, it still feels like I just put the boots on yesterday. So, it's been a whirlwind.
Matt, this will probably be the only footy question I ask. Mark Foreman here, by the way. Congratulations. I was calling the game, and at full time, you were the first one I sort of looked to, and saw you fall to the ground, and it must have been like you said, that moment of euphoria, but you had a few seconds by yourself before your teammates got to you. Can you remember what exactly you felt as that siren went?
Yeah, I can, because I have copped so much stick for it over the last few days for all my teammates. I sat there looking at the crowd in 5 minutes, and I honestly got a chance to reflect, and I just started welling up, and I've been in a bit of an emotional mess, and don't worry, I've been sort of reminded of that constantly. So.
Have you seen it back, Matt? Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've had the video sent, and everyone says I look like a fetus in the fetal position. So
brilliant.
My teammates are giving me plenty of stick, but I couldn't care less. I'm just the happiest man on earth.
Exactly right. If anyone can do it, Matt, you can. I think you've earned that moment.
No doubt about it. Now, we spoke a couple of weeks ago when your side was in the thick of the finals action. Your days playing as a junior and getting to those finals, but success, eluded you for a very long time. But what was it like to finally get that success and having it sink in some 48 hours later?
Yeah, it actually didn't sink in, like you said, until probably, yesterday afternoon, finally sort of was sinking in. But it feels really surreal because, it's something that you work at for some of us, we've been there for 12 years just at this one aim and one goal. And that is a long time for for achieving, something that happens in a matter of hours. So the initial feeling is it's relief, it's overwhelming sense of joy. But now it's just starting to get that appreciation of the hard work that my teammates, the coaches, the club has put in. And I'm just very proud. The last few days have just been filled with so much pride.
Because you've been through the low ebbs of the club, in fact, most recently, some 2018-19, but you showed that resolute resilience along with a lot of your teammates that have been there as well. I mean, it's a group that's been united in those tough times, but also those great times that you've had over the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, we stuck it fat because it was going pretty terribly a few years ago. And that's where you sort of pan your credit to Bill Monahan and Brad Dodd and obviously their coaching staff, because they came in, they showed the path, and as players, we just had to believe. And that was the key for us, because you sort of get bashed from pillar to post for a number of years where you win, a total of maybe 3 or 4 games over 2 or 3 years. The belief aspect, the faith in your ability and whatnot is really, really hard to instill in a playing group. So once that came, and that took a few years, once we started to believe we were good enough, I've said this, the Premiership to me, was never in doubt. We were eventually going to get there. It was just a matter of when.
Oh, that's awesome, Matt. I'm going to flick to some non-footy related questions. Quick fire. What do you do for work?
So I work in construction. So my old man has he's got a construction company in Port Hedland, where I grew up.
Yep.
So I work remotely for him, and it's fair to say he's not a happy boss at the moment, because I haven't showed my face in the office for the last few days.
Well, that answers my next question. How many days off work have you taken?
I'm sitting out the front. I'm sitting out the front now, and I'm just sort of going, I've got to go and put a couple of hours in today, but the boys are already messaging me saying, where we going. So.
Amazing. Well, leads into my next one. So we know Milan Murdoch was best on. Who has been best off?
Best off in a clear cut between 2 guys.
Yep.
Hugh Dixon, I'm not so sure he's caught a wink of sleep yet, so he's still going. And Ben Maguire, he is the funniest man I have ever met. He's been unreal. He was there was a few lulls over the last couple of days where the lack of sleep catches up with you.
Yeah.
He's essentially put on his own TED talk for the last 2 or 3 days. He has not stopped talking, so he's been unreal.
Hey, last one from me, Matt. I saw a really nice video. So obviously you all got to the left bank later on on the Sunday night. Saw a really nice video of you lifting the cup with your brother. That must have been a nice moment.
Yeah, honestly, the moments. There's a lot of moments that stand out, but and this is the sort of things that get you emotional, because sharing the moment when I saw my mum, my dad, and my brother in the rooms after the game. Yeah, that's something that I'll never forget.
Well, no doubt about it. Those memories will stand the test of time like it was on Sunday at Optus Stadium. Matty, congratulations. The first East Fremantle Premiership captain in 25 years. Enjoy the celebrations and all the best for next season.
I will. Thanks, lads.
That was Matty Jupp, the captain of East Fremantle, and a very popular Premiership captain, I might add, because, having stuck through the tough times like he did for East Fremantle, and to finally get that done through the ever so strong self-belief that never wavered across those tough years is certainly a well-deserving moment for Juppy.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's like my favourite sort of aspect into not just this podcast, but sort of any media medium, because you get to speak to people like Matt and understand the stories behind what's happening. And you just heard then, when he said that's what it's about, it's sharing the moments with those people who have shared the journey. And
absolutely.
That's really special. I remember seeing that video. I think I've mentioned before, I'm being friendly with Maddie's brother. I saw that video posted and I thought that's just really cool. That's a moment which, you share with your family, and it means the world. And we heard how much it means. So that it is amazing. And, Yeah, I knew Matty was clearly a good captain. I don't know him particularly well, but you can hear what it means to him and how, like you said, how he's stuck true through those really hard times.
And that's not the only one of the East Freo 3 that is going to be joining us in just a little bit. Milan Murdoch, the Simpson medalist, is going to jump on and have a chat with us on his performance. He was simply sensational on Sunday. Just before we do, a quick update from the other two grand finals that took place. First one in the morning, the Reserves grand final. It was a cracker between Swan Districts and West Perth. Swan Districts winning by 3 points, 7-15 to 8-6. Ben Hewitt, the Swan Districts captain, winning the Merv McIntosh medal for best on ground. He had 20 disposals and 7 marks. And in the Colts grand final, Claremont, they just keep adding these Colts premierships to their ever-growing trophy cabinet. They were too good for a fast-finishing Perth. 10-7, 67 to 8-8, 56. The big man, Zane Zekostelski, winning the Mel Winnan medal for the Colts best on ground. So congrats to Swan Districts and Claremont on their respective premierships. This is Around the WAFL, the final edition for 2023. You're with Paul Persick and Mark Foreman. And one East Fremantle player that also cemented himself as possibly a modern era great for his performance in the grand final was Milan Murdoch, the man who wears the number 1. Well, he was number 1 on Sunday, taking out the Simpson medal, and he is good enough to join us on our final edition of Around the WAFL for 2023. Milan, welcome to the show and congratulations.
G'day, boys. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, Milan. I'll ask the same thing I asked to Matty Jupp earlier. The first emotions that you felt when the final siren sounded and that East Fremantle, the realisation that the Sharks had finally got it done.
I guess it was probably 15 minutes into that last quarter. It started really sinking in that we're probably going to win a grand final. And it's an unbelievable feeling. It's honestly things you dream of, and you have to win one to know how it feels, and it is amazing. So I couldn't be more happy, and we're still celebrating.
Hey, Milan, Mark Foreman here. Congratulations on, well, both, the flag and the medal. Have you played in many grand finals before that at any level, including juniors?
Well, yeah, I won 2 in juniors for the Winnicott Cats. And then my last WAFL one, if it counts, I guess, was Colts in 2017.
No, they count.
They're probably not as good as the WAFL one, but yeah, they were good.
Now, what about the game plan that your side had against Peel Thunder, who have pretty much a very strong side, especially with the 10-11 Dockers players that were touted to have a big performance? What was the plan from the outset when the ball was bounced on Sunday?
I guess we actually had quite a different last 2 weeks, really. We were just preparing on our inside 50 work. I don't know if I'm allowed to say now, really, but
yeah, you're allowed.
we played a smaller forward line, and I think that really worked from the day. It's a big ground, so they could just put it in space. Now small forwards, including myself, did the work. So
yeah, beautiful.
That made a big difference.
Absolutely. No, you're allowed, Milan. You can share whatever you want with us now. And I hope you do, because I'm going to throw some non-footy related questions at you. I'll ask you the same things I asked Matty. What do you do for work?
I am a sparky, so an electrician, and unfortunately I'm at work today.
Oh, well, I was going to ask, how many days off did you take? Surely you took a couple, at least.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty keen to get through this apprenticeship, and I probably can't take many more days off because I've already taken about a month off this year through footy injuries.
Yeah, okay.
So, but I'll try and get Friday or a couple more days off.
Did you at least?
You don't win. Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, did you at least have Monday off? Surely.
Yeah, public holiday.
Yeah, good point.
Turn it up for him.
Fun for some.
You'd hope I'd have Monday off, and then Tuesday as well.
Yeah, good man. Okay, I'm going to ask you the exact same question as Matty, but I'm not going to tell you what he said because I want to know your perspective. So, congratulations on being best on, but equally important, who has been best off?
I think, it's actually pretty obvious. We thought it would be Hugh Dixon, but I think Benny Maguire's passed him.
Yes. Wow.
He's just... him or Jared Jansen, I think.
So absolutely consistent, Milan. That's exactly what Matty's told us.
Oh, mate, they've just put us all in tears since the game ended. Like especially Ben, he's just hilarious, and he's been awesome all year. To be honest, he's a great man. He's actually a cousin of mine as well. So.
There you go.
You wouldn't believe it.
Is there any moment that he's off over the last 48 hours that's stuck out to you that Benny Maguire's thrown up?
Oh, mate, I think I heard Jappy say the other day, he's just talked non-stop. And I don't know how he's still yapping. He probably hasn't slept in 4 days, and it's like he's had plenty of sleep the way he goes about it.
Might be the state's longest TED talk that is going on at the moment
yeah.
with Benny Maguire. But
Yeah.
what about your return to form, Milan, just quickly? Of course, you came back in the second semi-final after a long stint out through injury and, of course, a spell in reserves. You got back into form right away and then followed it up with a Simpson medal winning performance in the grand final. From a personal point of view, it must be an absolute thrill to hit back into that solid patch of form just at the right time.
Oh, yeah. I'm grateful for the rehab work that I got brought into from Jai and Marina, our trainers, and they really helped me get back on my shoulder. It should have been almost a season-ending injury, but they really helped me with it. And I guess there was a bit of a shock coming through the twos. As Bill said, we nearly scrapped on at training when he told me. So, and then, I had a good game in the semi and got a grand final. So I'm forever grateful for that.
What was that exact injury, Milan? Like, obviously a shoulder, but what had you actually done to it?
It was an AC grade 3 joint.
Okay.
So it was meant to be surgery, I think, apparently. But if I got surgery, I wouldn't have played this year.
Yeah.
So I guess it worked out. It was a 50-50. I could have done it when I came back straight away, but if you do the rehab properly, you're fine. So I was lucky.
It was a huge credit to all the staff there at the Sharks for getting you in tip-top shape for that second semi-final and also for the main event, the grand final as well. So a job well done to them and a job well done to you as well, Milan. Congratulations on a great game and a great season, capping it off in the grand final on Sunday. Thanks for your time throughout the season as well, and all the best for 2024.
Thank you very much, boys. Take care.
That was Milan Murdoch, the Simpson medalist for East Fremantle. And tell you what, some fascinating stuff on the work front there. Of course, just like his job as a sparky, he was electric on Sunday at Optus Stadium.
That's sharp work, Paul. I love that from you. I have absolutely nothing similar to say. I'm not that witty, but he was great. He played really well, and I will have you know, whilst I didn't get my tip right, you did ask me, hey, if East Fremantle win, who might be your Simpson medalist? Do you remember who I said?
Yeah, you said Milan Murdoch,
Hey!
if East Fremantle won. So
Hello.
at least I'll give you that one. It
half
was
right.
1-1, but I'll hold you to account for the rest of the off-season.
He's a good player. He, and he has that little fiery edge to him, I noticed. So I'd only seen one other East Fremantle game this year. Live, I mean, and that I could see on grand final day, he tackled ferociously, but he also is, I won't say annoying, but he certainly creates a nuisance of himself and, gets under the skin of other players. And I'd heard a couple of opposition players say that, he's absolutely a great player, but he also has that fire to him.
It's that source of intimidation, isn't it, for opposition players? We said the same thing about John O'Marsh as well. Of course, he didn't play on Sunday, so Milan Murdoch really carried that responsibility as well, and that proved wonders for East Fremantle and to the detriment of Peel Thunder.
Yeah. Well, he's certainly not as big as John O'Marsh.
No, that's true. That's
a reasonably
true.
small man, but he makes up for it in ability and the fire that he's got as well.
This is Around the WAFL Grand Final Edition for 2023. You're with Paul Persick and Mark Foreman. Now, we've spoken to the players, of course, in captain Jonathan Marsh and the Simpson medalist Milan Murdoch, but the coach's perspective, of course, he's the man that makes all the moves across the season, and those moves on grand final day could win or lose you a premiership. Well, for Bill Monahan, it won him a premiership, his first premiership in a decade, having won it with West Perth back in 2013, and Billy's good enough to join us on our final edition for 2023. Billy, welcome to the show, and a huge congratulations on your win.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys, and a pleasure to be here.
What about, I'll say this, like I said to Juppy and Milan earlier on, those emotions as a coach when the final siren sounded and you'd done the job that you craved to bring the Premiership Cup back to East Fremantle.
Yeah, look, it's a bit different for me than it is to the players, I'm sure. Mine's more of a sit back and reflect and look at the players and enjoy what they've been through. They're the ones who do the work. Yeah, I bark the instructions. I move a few magnets around and a few witches' hats here and there. But look, at the end of the day, the satisfaction as a coach is seeing, first of all, the elation of the players, but also of the support staff, and then branch out even further into our sponsors, our members and our supporters. So, it was really about just taking it all in and seeing how many people were so happy that we were able to break a 25-year drought.
Bill, Mark Foreman here, and thanks for coming on again. It's been a pleasure to, get to know you through this podcast throughout the year. Probably fortunately, in a way, the game was done reasonably early, and I noticed that you made your way down to the bench, before the full-time siren. And some of the scenes that I saw were just amazing. Can you tell us about the connection that you feel with your players and like you said, your support staff as well?
Yeah, first of all, it was, same thing happened in 2013. I was lucky enough that, in both of those games, we were in front by far enough that, from probably the 30-minute mark, 25-minute mark, you can start to think about, what you're going to say, who you're going to hug, take everything in. So, it was a pretty enjoyable trip down in the lift with the other assistant coaches, and then to come out onto the oval, see all the blue and white and how much they were enjoying it and yelling and screaming and chanting, and then you see the people who were close to it. We had a lot of our reserves players were just behind the dugout. That they were enjoying the day, and then you make your way through what seemed like a big number of people, but what it probably shows is how many people are involved in getting the team to where they are, and sometimes as a coach, and even I'm sure Jappy as the captain and the players in general get put up as the ones who do all the work, but behind the scenes and we can't do what we do without the help and the support of many people. And I think if you look down on the bench at the time we got down there, that's probably a good indication of how many people are involved in what was a wonderful win.
It certainly was. Now, just going back a couple of years when you took over as East Fremantle coach, the club obviously was at a very low ebb, but what can't be denied, and I reckon you would have noticed it obviously, is the self-belief of a lot of those players that have been there throughout those tough times, and also in that highest point when the final siren sounded on Sunday. It's that self-belief that is really one of the big sources that got the club over the line.
It is, and that's probably the last piece of the puzzle, when we don't hide behind the fact, and it's pretty well known that, we cut the list pretty deep. We shook the place up. We changed a lot of things. And, a lot of the processes about training and our training nights and the training standards and how we train, a lot of things changed, and that's not that's not unique to me and this group that have helped us go forward. It's just it needed change, and we brought in a completely different way. One, that we played football, but two, how we prepared as well. So, then at the end of that, there were times probably in season 2 and 3 where the players just couldn't see it. And I know Juppy's talked about it, a number of times where, it felt like as a coach and as a coaching group, we're selling a dream that people couldn't always see. And some of that is around confidence and belief and self-belief is really important. So the thing is that was the last piece. And once, I think it was the end of 2021 where we won 4 of our last 5 games, including a couple of finalists and the eventual premiers in Subiaco. I think that was the time that the players said, hang on, this is going to work. And then that really drove them into the pre-season of 22. And I think had things gone a little bit differently for us in 2022, we lost 3 in the pre-season. We lost another one mid-season draft. And then we probably, by the end, we were missing 3 or 4 of our very best players, players of the ilk of Boakhurst and Murdoch who didn't play in our last final. So it felt like we were nearly there last year, and again that spurred the players on to train really hard in the pre-season, and now they've got the reward for that, and I'm really proud of what we've been able to do.
Oh, Bill, so many questions I want to throw you away, but I'm aware we've only got a limited time, so I'm going to have to ask. It's a reasonably young group. You're not that much older than them, Bill. How long did you stay with them on the Sunday night?
No, I was pretty quiet Sunday night.
Ah,
I said to him after players, I was a bit younger in 2013, and I probably drank too many beers after that, and so I said to them sometimes to sit back and reflect and have the odd water and space your drinks out a bit. So, I hung around to close to midnight, but then they had to leave the pub and they went to one of the players' houses, and I am too old for that, but it's still going, So we went to another establishment on Monday, and then we went and had a feed again yesterday at lunchtime. And I think the boys are out on the water today. A few of them have got some boats, so they're rafting up somewhere out on a 34-degree day. But unfortunately, my swimsuit body doesn't quite suit that, so I'm at home just taking it easy today.
living the dream. Hey, don't sell yourself short, Bill. I'm sure you've kept yourself in good shape. Last one. I want to try and make it a trifecta. We've spoken to your captain. We've spoken to your Simpson Medalist about who's been best off ground. Now, perhaps you haven't been there the whole time to see, but they've both given us the same answer. So if you had to pick two players who you reckon have performed best off the ground, who might they be?
I think number one, and I'd be disappointed if these blokes didn't do it, and he's an interesting one. We've got a recruit from East Perth, Ben Maguire, and he has not shut up for 3 days. I get accused of liking to talk a fair bit. Well, this bloke has full on has not stopped, and he's just had people in fits of laughter for 3 days. And I'm actually going out to play golf with him tomorrow and Ruben and Joe Commandi, one of my assistant coaches. So I'm actually hoping by the time we get to the golf course tomorrow that he's calmed down a bit, because if he's still talking like he is, and my golf game's going to go to water. So that's a little bit different, because sometimes it's about blokes misbehaving and doing silly things. He claims he's had lots to drink, but all he has done, he hasn't had time to drink. He has just spoken all the time. And then, look, I'm not condoning gambling, but we've been at a couple of places where the blokes have had a little bit of ability to have a bet. And they've had a little bit of a syndicate. And Jared Jansen, who might be one of the quieter blokes, he has been declaring his dog or his horse halfway down the straight every time, doing these funny dances. And every time he does, the horse or the dog gets beat. So Jared should just sit down and watch it. So that's been an interesting dynamic with Jano. He's really poor at predicting who's going to win the race.
That's brilliant. Hey, Bill, not only have you aligned with your captain and your Norm Smith medalist, but you've also told us the exact same anecdote about Ben Maguire. So that is absolutely brilliant. He sounds like a motor mouth, and he's getting the award for best off.
Yeah, look. Well, that's a bit disappointing, because the listeners now have had to listen to the same story. But it is. No,
not at all.
He is hands down number one.
Yeah, fantastic.
No doubt about it. But of course, Bill, the number one coach of 2023. Again, huge congratulations. We're all very proud of you and the side for their achievements on Sunday at Optus Stadium. Have a great off season and all the best for next year, Bill.
No worries. Nice talking to you guys. Thank you.
That was Billy Monaghan, the coach of East Freo. So the common theme about the three guests that we have had is that the best off ground has been Ben Maguire.
How good. He was actually quite good on ground too, just for what it's worth. But, days following grand finals are just such good fun. And, the group just sort of gets around each other. And that's so funny to hear that he's clearly enjoying himself, and rightly so, as he should be.
Oh, who wouldn't after winning a premiership? Simply sensational. This is Around the Waffle, our final edition for 2023. You're with Paul Persick and Mark Foreman. Now, quickly, we'll look at the grand final in depth. East Fremantle defeating Peel Thunder 12-13-85 to Peel Thunder 6-10-46. The Sharks, they kicked the first 3 goals in the first 10 minutes, and they never looked headed. And Peel, they were just playing catch-up all day.
Yeah, they were. Best way to describe it, I sort of felt different to the semi-final, where a similar thing happened. East Fremantle jumped Peel,
yes.
And Peel looked pretty good in that game. It just didn't feel like Peel were ever a chance. I don't know why, and I don't know if you had a similar feeling, but
I don't know why you tipped them to begin with.
Yeah, well, I couldn't get past the 11 AFL listed players. But this is, I guess, it's a really good example of a team of champions. Is what's the saying? A team of champions is no match for a champion team.
Absolutely. And East Fremantle just gelled, when the time mattered, especially off that start and then, of course, for the rest of the game. And to cap it off with an excellent final term as well, where they kicked a further 3-1, really summed up how in control East Fremantle were. Looking at the numbers, too, in particular, Milan Murdoch at 27, Fraser Turner. I mean, again, he was sensational. He had 37 disposals, but his role as that impact midfielder, again, was sensational. Ben Maguire with 2 goals. Ruben with 1, and also a couple of other players kicked 2 as well. Joshua Schoenfeld with 2 as well. For Peel Thunder, Corey Wagner was their best, 31 disposals, and Will Brodie, he played a good clearance role in the midfield with 25.
Yeah, can we point out, Corey Wagner had 15 tackles.
15.
That is insane. He was good. I also, and now the stats sheet will not reflect this. You wouldn't know it, but Tom Emmett was absolutely brilliant in trying to inspire his team. Now,
he was.
The reason I say that is the stats sheet says he had 7 disposals, but he had 7 tackles, and I'm pretty sure there were 2 rundown holding the balls.
There were 2 rundown tackles.
In the second quarter when the game was still on the line, and Peel just didn't have a spark, and he was the guy that he was my pick for. I thought he might be the Simpson Medalist if they were to win, and he was trying. You could see he was so gallant in trying to spark his team, and he worked so hard.
He did.
The best thing about being at the game and being able to call it is when it's not, when the other caller is calling. I was sort of looking behind the ball, and he was running and working so hard up and down the ground. So I thought Tom Emmett was really good, but they just didn't have the contributors. Something I noticed about Peel, and it's not a comment on their season because we spoke to many of their coaches and players, and the connect between AFL and non-AFL listed players is clearly good. I just sort of noticed a bit of a disconnect that day between midfielders and forwards. So some of the kicking, a forward would suddenly dart back towards goal, but the kick would go in front of him and it was a turnover and things like that. It just seemed like a little bit of a disconnect, and that's not to say that it's not there during the year, but it just didn't gel on grand final day.
Yeah,
which is
you're
really
exactly right. You're exactly right. It was that lack of functionality in that forward line that pretty much brought Peel undone, because usually their forward line is very, very good. I mean, when you have Ben Hancock, also Ben Middleton, also kicking those goals, Liam Reedy, and also a couple of others, Will Brodie even shifting up forward a little bit to kick those goals. That there just wasn't a lot there, and they weren't disgraced. They weren't disgraced. So Peel Thunder, they did try their hearts out. It was just that start, that 3-goal start that they gave East Fremantle. You never want to give a side a start, whether it be 3 goals, 4 goals, or even 8 goals for that matter. Never give your opposition a head start in a grand final, because you'll be playing catch up all day.
It's almost the same in any finals, but grand finals it's a different beast, and a little worried once it got to 3-0, and Peel sort of not on the scoreboard, but they even the ledger towards the back part of that first quarter. And then, but they just couldn't stay with them. And it was a really clinical display from East Fremantle. And in talking about that disconnect, by the way, in the forward line, that's also a credit to what East Fremantle did. Their defenders are clearly, well gelled and organised by Matty Jupp, and they did the job. They were fantastic. Some of those Peel forwards were just completely shut down.
Yeah, Erdley, Jupp and Fingoringe for that matter. They were all sensational down back. This is Around the Waffle, our grand final edition for 2023. Paul Persick and Mark Foreman. Now, before we do wrap up for the season, we're going to quickly have a little verdict of all the 10 clubs, starting from last through to the premiers of 2023. So, quickly, we'll go from 10th through to 1st. West Coast, out of awfully good, thumbs up. 50-50 in the middle, for thumbs in the middle, or awfully awful, thumbs down. I think it'll be pretty obvious. Awfully awful for West Coast, simply because of the injuries that they had and the lack of the link between a consistent best 22.
Yep, and there's reasons for that. So, and we know that. So, like you said, injuries were just horrible for West Coast this year. So, they were awful. But I'm not, I don't think we need to rule them out next year. I'm certainly not saying they're going to be playing finals or challenging for the flag or anything.
But they could get some wins.
Yeah, absolutely. And they should get some wins. Getting players back, staying healthy, staying fit, and also there is the change in rules with the salary cap. So hopefully that allows them to attract more players. So
now we go to Perth. Even though they had the 2 wins in the draw, I'm going to go thumbs in the middle simply because of the talent that's there. And Peter German, he didn't expect success to come immediately, but they showed that they can play good games of football against some of the more powerful teams. And they even got one of their big wins was against South Fremantle down at Fremantle Oval. Yep. That win, I reckon, could spark their confidence in the future. They could beat anyone, anywhere, on any given day.
Yep, and a classic sign of a developing team is that they showed really good bursts of potential, which were separated by some really poor performances, and that's what's going to happen with a young team, an experienced team. But like you said, they've got some talent there. I'm probably a thumbs down, but not a major thumbs down. And I think there's a good opportunity for Perth, over the next few years. And Rome wasn't built in a day.
South Fremantle, they finished in, of course, 8th. I'm going to say a thumbs in the middle as well because their backs were against the wall from the outset. With the salary cap breach and the 8-game penalty. Yep. But they did unearth some very good mature players in 2023, especially those that haven't been as heralded. Bologna, Byron, and also Chase Bourne, who can be a big forward of the future. I mean, he can kick a couple of bags of goals out of the blue, so it'll be a thumbs in the middle for me. And with Todd Curley staying at the helm next year, then that's going to be a huge boost for South Fremantle next year.
The 3 Bs, as they call them.
Yep, the 3 Bs.
No one calls them that.
Only you call them that, so don't get started.
Look, I don't know as much about those players as you probably do, but what I have heard is, and we know Todd Curley has a really good record and a good development background as well. So similar case as Perth, but their backs were against the wall. So I'm not sort of surprised to see where they ended up, and hopefully they can stay injury free. They sort of copped a few as well. Also thumbs down for me. I don't expect to see South Fremantle down the bottom like that. So a little bit disappointing, but again, there's just like West Coast, there's reasons.
Swan Districts, thumbs down for me, I'm afraid.
Oh, what?
If they got a couple of more close wins and they were in winnable positions for a lot of those games, maybe I would have changed it. But I have to say, having said that, they were the most unlucky side this year.
Yeah, well, and the reason I'm so surprised by that is I came on board this podcast and particularly moving back to Perth halfway through the WAFL season. So I missed a lot of their work in the early part where they lost games they probably should have won.
So what? You're blaming yourself for Swan District's lack of close wins.
Because what I saw at the end of the year, that was a lot of positive signs. And I see a team that is also young, but they've got some really quality players there.
Yes.
As long as they can hold on to a few.
Thomas Edwards being one of them.
Yeah, and how good, we saw some really good things from him, but unfortunately he looks like he's done his knee, hasn't he? So he might be missing, if not all, at least a large chunk of next year. I've just done must have felt sick thinking about his knee. I've just done a burp. I like what they're putting together, and there are thumbs sidewards, I guess.
Right in the middle?
Yeah, right in the middle. But they were on the way up. But it was, the important thing to note about them is that's also a sign of a really young team. They lost so many games that were tight. And so, that's a little bit of inexperience, and they'll fix that up moving forward.
Let's go to West Perth, the now former premiers. Thumbs down for me. They just couldn't get it going. They could not get it going. And those losses at home, their record at home, to be blunt, was woeful, especially against Swan Districts, East Fremantle and Peel Thunder. If they'd won one of those 3 games, then they would have been in the 5. But there was a lot of disconnect in that side, where they just couldn't get their midfields and forwards to link up correctly. And now they're going to have a new coach as well. Jason Salisic is going to take over. So hopefully that thumbs down will go back to a thumbs up next year.
So this is also a case of me coming on halfway through and missing a lot of the games that they should have won and lost because I saw at the back end of the year when they went on that great winning streak, but they had left too little too late. Yes. So it's a thumb sideways for me because we saw the danger that West Perth have, but unfortunately they cooked themselves earlier in the year. So just missing out by a game. So it's a thumb sidewards, but certainly a team to watch for next year.
No doubt about it. East Perth, thumbs up. That's a definite thumbs up.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
were
the
good.
run that they had to get into the finals, if not for that loss to West Perth in round 20, maybe they would have had a greater chance to win the premiership. But just the players that they were able to get for 2023, I mean, some of these players were sensational. Hamish Brayshaw, Angus Schumacher, Mitch Crowden, Angus Scott, Nick Robinson, Liam Tedesco at the second half of the season, and Sam Van Diemen, who's matured into a great forward this season. And also the quality as a coach Ross McQueen has got, to bring them back at the top end of the WAFL ladder is just sensational. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in 2024.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing Sam Van Diemen's name more. That's just a cool name.
No doubt about it.
Rate that. No, above all, I also rate East Perth. They had a good season. And they've got that midfield we keep talking about is so quality. So they are a thumbs up for me as well, which I suspect all these teams in the top four, because they were so close.
They were so close.
The top five was just so tight that they all performed really well.
I'm giving Claremont also a thumbs up, and I'm giving myself a thumbs down because I tipped Claremont outside the 5. They finished in 4th. They got to a first semi-final, but they were simply very sensational when it mattered. I mean, we look at those 4 losses in a row in the second half of the season. It was so un-Claremont-like.
Yeah.
But they bounced back with 2 big wins at home when they needed.
Yeah, but that's also the reason I'm giving them a thumb sidewards, because I didn't get to see. I keep saying this. I came on halfway through the year, and I saw them just go on this disgusting run of losses. That, like you said, and I kept saying how weird it was. It's so un-Claremont-like, and they lost games that they really should have won. So they would be disappointed to finish where they did, because they, in a way, there was a point there where they really had top spot at their mercy. And
They did.
I think they sort of, they sort of let themselves down a little bit. So it's a thumb sidewards.
Subiaco, a thumbs up for me. They exceeded
yeah.
expectations. After missing the 5 in 2022, a lot expected them to, have a bit of a lull. But, to get into 3rd place overall, finishing 2nd on the ladder, but 3rd overall, having lost the prelim, there's good signs that Subiaco will be hungry to get that premiership back in 2024.
Yeah, no, I exceeded expectations. I think they were a team that I did know a little bit about coming in purely because of some footy connections that I'd played with at North Beach, who have played at Subiaco, and they sort of explained and said, they've exceeded anything we thought they might do. And, it's a really good platform for them to work on for next year. So it's a thumbs up for me.
And finally, East Fremantle and Peel Thunder, the grand finalists, huge thumbs up
Yep.
for them. Big season, getting through to the big dance, unearthing some great players, and their experience really telling as well.
Yeah, no, they were great. Both teams were awesome. East Fremantle, I think in the end, the best team has won, which doesn't always happen, in the way that finals can work. But for mine, East Fremantle, they're the great story. And, they've put together so much work over so many years. And this year, they went on that incredible run. They strung, was it 11 in a row?
11 wins in a row.
So that's so well deserved. But they are both big thumbs up for me.
No doubt about it. And on that note, that brings an end to the 2023 season, and what a great season it has been. First of all, I just want to send a huge thanks to Dan Constant, Will Schofield, the guys that lead the BackChat Studios network for this amazing opportunity to put together a podcast and to give this wonderful competition, the WAFL, a platform of brilliant attention that it deserves. It's so good for the competition and WA football. Also, the 10 WAFL clubs for their access, giving us players to speak to, and also all the coaches of the WAFL this season, and also the West Australian Football Commission for their endorsement of this show, the official podcast of the West Australian Football League. Thanks to Michael Roberts, Narita Collins, Nicky Brown, and all at the West Australian Football Commission for their support this year. And also, not only to you, Mark Foreman, for your contributions as co-host in the second half of the season, Taylor Cowper for the first half of the season, and also guests that filled in on that co-host chair everywhere in between, from the likes of Mark Reddings, Andrew Henry on, Dean Margetts, amongst a lot of others. Some great personalities of WA football.
Yeah, been a pleasure, Paul. It's been awesome to be involved, and like you said, I echo those thanks, and well done to you as well. You host this show. Your passion for WAFL footy is really clear, and that's pretty cool. It's like you said, a competition which sometimes needs a bit of assistance, and your commitment to that is awesome, second to none. So well done to you this year.
Thank you, Forey. But last but not least, probably the most important people on this show, of course, the fans of the WAFL that either listen or watch on the BackChat Studios YouTube channel or listen wherever you get your podcast. A huge thank you for all your support this year. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to another sensational season of WAFL in 2024. Forey, have a great summer. I'll see you next year.
Look forward to it, Paul. And just quickly, thank you to our techs as well, behind the scenes. Tom, who does an awesome job, and there's been a few people who have come in and out as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. Another good season of WAFL footy. Been a pleasure.
Make no mistake about it. It is going to be huge in 2024. Have a wonderful summer, everyone. We're looking forward to a sensational year of WAFL in 2024. We'll be back in late March to preview what is going to be a huge WAFL season. Congrats to East Freo, premiers of 2023. We'll see you in 2024. Bye for now.